Okay, I think all you got to do is look at the front page of NarniaWeb.com. Just look at the two top stories to kind of get a sense of what my emotional state was this morning. Less than a week ago, Douglas Gresham was asked yet again about the possibility of future Narnia films and what he thought was going on there. He basically said, there's just nothing going on right now, and when we know something, we'll announce it. The Mark Gordon Company, along with the C.S. Lewis Company, will be developing The Silver Chair. So it's been, how long has it been? Dawn Treader came out in December 2010. Here we are in October 1st, 2013. So almost 3 years later, 3 years of kind of thinking there wasn't going to be another Narnia film, and I felt like there would be eventually. This is an announcement this concrete. It's coming sooner than I expected it, but I just felt like, Narnia, anything with name recognition, even board games are being gobbled up. And being made into movies. It's only a matter of time before they get to those other 4 Narnia books. But honestly, my first reaction to this was, what? Is this real? Is this real? And once I decided, yes, it's real, I felt sort of excitement to be anticipating another Narnia film again. That's where all my excitement lies. It's like, I can't wait to be making videos again and podcasts, and it'd be like the band getting back together. That was kind of my overriding emotion. Then I calmed down and started thinking about the film and just kind of went, oh, maybe, they'll find a director who really does have an idea and he'll make it a great movie. It could be. But right now, it just seems like they're forcing this, basically. They don't actually have an idea for how to make The Silver Chair a great movie. They just want to get the movie out there. So we can definitely expect a lower budget from this. In fact, the Mark Gordon Company is part of that. Would tend to indicate that, I guess. But we'll see if another studio gets involved. Maybe Warner Brothers will come along and co-finance it or something. I don't know. But it's really not a surprise that we would see Silver Chair with a lower budget. And that might not be such a bad thing for a couple of reasons. Right off the bat, we've been saying for a while that if you were going to make a lower budget Narnia movie, if you had to choose one of the books to make into a low-budget movie, you'd probably go with Silver Chair. The locations seem very doable. You could even do it in a studio if you had to, a lot of it. There aren't that many talking animals. A lot of it's underground in the dark. That would, from a production perspective, you could probably find ways to cut corners there. There's a lot of ways you could... it seems a low-budget Silver Chair movie seems doable. In terms of story, here's where this could be a good thing. Having, and I think I've kind of talked about this in a previous video somewhere, having a lower-budget Narnia movie means fewer people, having a stake in it. And all I mean is Dawn Treader, in particular, just suffered from studio executives throwing in their 2 cents, saying, no, don't do this, do it this way, worried about trying to protect their investment. And when you do that, when that's the situation, which is the case for a lot of movies these days, the most you can hope for is a fairly entertaining flick, basically. Popcorn muncher. If you want to make something really special and memorable, I think you've got to be taking a risk. And when you've got big studios involved with a lot of money involved, it's very difficult to take risks because there's a lot of money on the line here. When there's less money, there is more room for a director to try to be creative and to try something different. So a lower budget Narnia movie that has, I think there's just as much potential for this to be a good thing as for it to be a bad thing. My feeling is that I'd be willing to live with mediocre special effects, seeing them cut corners in a few places, if they could just have more creative control. The storytellers, I mean. Obviously, you have to get a good director too. That's totally dependent on that as well. So, I don't know. We still don't know enough. You see, just doing this video and realizing we really don't know that much. Initially, it goes like, "Oh my gosh, Silver Chair is greenlit, another Narnia movie," and then you realize we don't actually know that much. Let's get a director. Let's get a cast. Let's get some more details. For now, some more speculation. So does this mean they're making they're calling it the 4th Narnia film, and that tweet post had that image of Aslan from the previous films. Are they doing a straight sequel to Silver Chair? So they're not doing any kind of reboot. We can still assume they're going to recast Will Poulter. I don't think we'll see Will Poulter in this movie. What about Liam Neeson? Is he still going to voice Aslan? What about Ben Barnes? Caspian is 70 years old for basically for a couple moments in Silverchair, and then we see him at the very end as a young boy. Is Ben Barnes going to come in? Now, the old man part, you could get anybody to come along and put on old man makeup and say, hey, I'm Caspian, I'm Ben Barnes, I am Brent Gaspian. But for the very end, they've either got to get Ben Barnes or they've got to get somebody that kind of looks like him. Or they may cut that out altogether. The scene at the end of the Silverchair where we see Caspian young again is not narrative essential for the Silverchair. It's closing a loop that was set up in Dawn Treader where Caspian came to Aslan's country and then was just a few steps short and was turned away. That happened in the Dawn Treader movie as well. They contrived some stupid thing where he had to decide if he wanted to see his father again, you know. So I could see them, especially if they couldn't get Ben Barnes back, just deciding to cut that out. I don't necessarily want them to. I wouldn't be as upset about that as you'd think I would be, because I didn't think it was, like, it's such an emotional part of the Dawn Treader book, where Caspian he's frustrated by the fact that he's gotten this close to Aslan's country and now he's being turned away. But with Dawn Treader, I didn't think that it was that emotional of a scene, and so in terms of film, it wouldn't break my heart if that wasn't in there. So it's weird. It's a memorable scene, but you need to set it up in Dawn Treader and have it be really emotional to really do it right, and they didn't do that. I can see them going snip, snip, and cutting that out, because it's not essential to the Silverchair itself. It's just something, it does a lot for the series as a whole. So, my overall thoughts on this, again, the number one thing I'm most excited about is being able to anticipate another Narnia movie. Honestly, I kind of feel like Batman at the beginning of Dark Knight Rises, where it's been a few years and the world doesn't need him anymore, so he hasn't been Batman, and he's secretly wishing that you know, things would go bad again so that he could be Batman again. And regardless of how I feel like this film is actually going to turn out, I can't deny I am excited to be anticipating another film, talking about the news, having something to praise and criticize, you know, every so often. Just something to talk about related to adapting Narnia, which I've enjoyed so much. So it looks like this is going to happen. It looks like they actually are going to make a Narnia 4. No release date, not a lot of details really, but I'm not expecting this to be a good film or a good adaptation. But like I said, there is potential. If they have, you know, a lower budget and fewer people with money on the line and less money in the pot, there is potential for them to make this something special. It could happen, so I would love to be surprised. Oh, by the way, I guess this means I'm going to see Puddleglum. If the movie gets kind of the budget we think it's going to get, he probably won't be CGI, and he doesn't have to be. If you're going to do Lewis's vision, if you're going to get it exactly as Lewis describes Puddleglum, I think you'd have to be CGI. But if you're willing to make some compromises, which I am, then you could do Puddleglum as an actual actor. Puddleglum is, of course, my favorite character in the series, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they do him, and I'm hoping they really do him well. Let's go ahead and let this series begin. A series of videos talking about the Silverchair movie. What I don't want them to do with Puddleglum, the obvious thing to do with him is to make him a really gloomy, Eeyore, depressed character. Is that an aspect of Puddleglum's character? Kind of. But the thing is, Puddleglum is constantly... I have a whole video on this, Puddleglum character study video about this, but he's always voicing the worst possible scenario, but you don't get the sense that he's actually upset about it. It's like yeah, it's gonna rain, it's probably gonna be cold, and that's just the way it is. We're gonna have to deal with it. If in that sense, he's almost an optimistic character. The Puddleglum character is so much more interesting and complicated than just, oh, he's all depressed, he's Eeyore. No, it's not that simple. But I can just see, if you just kind of glance at the character as written, like, oh, he's just Eeyore. But if you really look at it and what people like about Puddleglum and some of those memorable moments, you realize there's a lot. It's much more interesting than that. So I really hope they get Puddleglum right. That's probably one of the number one things on my list is get Puddleglum right. My favorite character. I'm finally going to see him done in a major film production. But it's been kind of a little 3-year intermission here. New studio, probably new cast, probably new a lot of things. Still don't know a lot. We'll see what happens. Further up and further in.